in an interview, maybe not too long after he lost for Tropic Thunder, Robert Downey Jr. was in an interview with Howard Stern.
He should have won for that, the Oscar.
And his wife had said at the time, having picked up the script and read it with him, says, because I don't know, should I do this? Because I'm thinking maybe, says, it'll be a crime not to do this. It's hilarious. So he does it. And he said to Howard.
That's part of that movie.
Yeah, he said, well, I love the movie. He says to Howard, well, that's, you should have won, right? And you didn't do Chaplin, you didn't win. He says, you know what's going to happen, Howard? Someday, I'm going to get nominated again. And there'll be a bunch of young bros out there doing this. And you know what? I'm going to win. And you know why? Because I didn't get to win before. And I deserve it. And you know what I'm going to say? Thank you.
Thank you.
and it's right. Because this was, Oppenheimer's okay.
Yeah.
He was good in it.
Yeah.
Not as good as it should have been, but still, look, I get it. He's getting his flowers for that. But Tropic Thunder, he was excellent.
Yeah.
And the fact he was wearing blackface, I didn't give a shit. Plus, the film was so aware.
Yeah.
It's so meta.
Yeah.
But there's a scene when
it was
at
making
camp,
fun of actors.
Right.
It was not making fun of
made fun of blackface.
Exactly.
And it's like, what do you people, and then
he was making fun of Daniel Day-Lewis.
Right.
Like the immersive.
Right.
The immersive actor.
Exactly. That was so crazy. I loved it. My God. My son is 21. I forgot when we're showing stuff that he shouldn't have been seen way back when.
Yeah.
But,
but we grew up in a different era. I saw The Conversation. I think like 10 years old. No, I was 8 years old when I saw The Conversation.
I saw Burnt Offerings when I was like 8.
Do you know Burnt Offerings? It's a horror movie.
Movie from
with Betty Davis and Burgess Meredith from the 70s.
And Oliver Reed. Oliver Reed.
And it's harsh.
Classic actors.
Beheadings.
Beheadings. There's like somebody gets impaled.
It's not a comedy though.
Oh no, it is a comedy.
It is a comedy. Okay.
No, I'm just joking.
I think everything's a comedy.
Yes.
Everything's a comedy now.
Oppenheimer was funny.
Welcome everybody to a new episode of Nerdopolitan. Today we have two special guests. Really interesting for Nerdopolitan because, as you can see, they love film. They love talking immersively, kind of like what we were talking about Robert Downey Jr.'s character in Tropic Thunder. And we're immersed in filmmaking. We have Greg Rhem and Jason White. Welcome.
All right. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, seriously.
Yeah, man.
It's great that you guys are here.
You know, we went to college together.
Oh, okay.
So we've known each other 41
years.
Jesus.
Oh my God.
We just aged ourselves.
When I was a kid.
Can we erase that?
No. Let's leave it.
I'm very happy about
now
being
I'm hot.
here, First you're hot, then
no,
you're cold.
I'm sorry. Well, that's because I'm 60 years old, man.
No. We're all good.
I'm gonna. Hey, this is part of reality. This is the thing.
It's the lights.
Under here.
This is why we're not actors.
These are soft lights, though.
Yeah, I know. It's like the old days with 10Ks and shit. Anyway,
let me know when you're cold again.
Yes. Hot flashes, Greg. Hot flashes. Sorry.
It's the passion from the film. That's what it is.
You know what? You guys are giving us such good energy between you guys and Carlos. That's why I'm getting hot.
It's funny because I'm dead
not
inside.
turned on, by the way. I'm not getting turned on.
No, that was the previous podcast. We were talking about sex in the previous podcast. Now we're talking about film.
I'm cinematic orgasms.
Wait a minute. Sex and film, isn't it the same thing? For me, it's
it
the same
is.
thing.
Well, I saw Poor Things. You see Poor Things?
I want to.
I loved Poor Things. I thought she was great. I was actually moved because she was really surprised that she won, but she gave such a great performance. I've had conversations with other people who think that it is a little pedophilic because it's a
child's brain.
A child brain in a woman's body.
Yeah.
But I think that discounts the fact that she actually produced the movie.
Yeah.
So it's about female empowerment. I think it could have been.
It's a metaphor. As a metaphor.
But it could have been 10 minutes or so shorter. But she was so great in it, and you're like, this performance is phenomenal. And she's bold and brave and just out there. Go ahead.
Quick aside, because you brought it up, and because it's a Frankenstein story, is that not a sexist thing in a way? Because technically, think about the old films, Peter Boyle in Young Frankenstein is a child, and he's having, Madeline Kahn has sex with him.
Yeah.
So is that, but because it's a male character and as opposed to a female character.
That is such a great point. I love that, and I'm going to use that the next time anybody brings that up.
You have to give me credit for that, though.
No, it's good. But maybe there's a homosexual Frankenstein story to be made. I think
That'd be wild. Well, look, there was the James. There was the what you call it? Because I was thinking of Brendan Fraser and.
Gods and Monsters.
Gods and Monsters.
James
Whale.
Or what
James
about
Whale.
Rocky Horror Picture Show? That's
Yeah. Oh my
that's
God.
like a
Exactly.
gay,
Right.
Gay setting.
Well, it
type
is.
Of, it's
Yeah,
like a,
exactly.
It is. It definitely is, and that has actually become mainstream when it used to be sort of cult.
My God.
It was a cult, and now it's
Yeah.
But I feel like
The movie I want to see is Frankenhooker. It's on Criterion.
I remember
this
that.
month.
Frankenhooker.
Oh yes,
You never heard of it?
1980s.
It's
I've heard of it, yeah,
It's
but
on
I've never seen it.
Criterion. I heard it's just genius, and I'm like, a friend of mine, a friend whose film I produced, said it's like phenomenal
And then
because it knows what it is.
right. Oh yeah, from back in the days when it was also the Reanimator and oh my God, love that.
Reanimator's so great.
That's a great movie.
Stuart Gordon,
Stuart Gordon.
such a good movie. Did
But
you ever
it-
see?
You ever
I
seen
haven't. Reanimator? No.
Oh,
I
gosh.
I'm gonna have to make a list of all the films that you like.
H.P.
guys like.
Lovecraft?
H.P. Lovecraft.
It's H.P. Lovecraft.
I've read him.
But
yeah.
they made it into a musical too. That a friend of mine
Right.
was in. It was super funny. Basically, I mean, it's you reanimate a dead person,
Right.
and this guy is working at this university hospital and ends up killing a bunch of people because he's just trying to experiment.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Combs.
Yeah. Fritz
Bruce,
Weaver's in it.
Bruce Abbott. No, not
Who's
Fritz Weaver.
the guy whose head is it that attacks him?
No, that's not a. It's not a famous guy that I know.
It's not a famous, right?
Yeah.
But still.
But Bruce Combs or Jeffrey
Look for
Combs
that.
and Bruce.
Jeffrey Combs.
And Bruce. What's his name from?
Not Bruce Campbell.
I thought he was in it.
He is it? Oh, maybe.
Sorry.
From Evil Dead.
From Evil
For
Dead.
Evil Dead, yeah.
You know Evil Dead.
Yeah,
I'm
I've
just
seen
going
it.
to try to hit every film that you haven't seen.
No, it's good. It's good. That gives me a list of things that I have to watch.
Yeah.
It's
Evil
impo-
Dead I've seen, of course, and
It's important to know film history. I find that a lot of filmmakers these days don't go past a certain point. I had an editor, and I shouldn't really say this because
You don't have to mention names or anything.
I'm not mentioning names, but he didn't like black and white movies. I'm like,
Really?
I don't understand how you cannot like black and white movies.
well, what about like the recent black and white movies?
Well, that's exactly.
Right.
Didn't like recent black and white.
And a
movies
movie's a
either.
movie.
A movie's a movie, and I think black and white. Orson Welles says like black and white is just art, and it really makes a character real in a weird way.
It gives another sense of reality.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Right.
But you wouldn't have Roma. You wouldn't have the Lighthouse.
The Lighthouse is crazy, but it's like a surreal type of thing.
It is
Yeah.
the most beautiful looking movie. I don't know that I like it, and I don't know that I like his films. But he is a production designer. Was originally a production designer, and they're beautiful movies. The Witch, what was the Valhalla movie?
Yeah.
Was it
Oh, it was interesting. It wasn't perfect.
Which one's that one? The
With
Nicole
Midsummer?
Kidman? No.
No, with
That's
super
Ari
tall,
Aster.
one of the Skarsgårds.
Yeah, and Nicole Kidman.
Yeah. It was the takeoff of Hamlet, based on the original story. The Northman.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Northman,
Northman.
Norseman.
Yeah.
Norseman.
Yeah,
Norseman,
Norseman. Beautiful to look at.
Yeah, it's a Hamlet.
Robert
more,
Eggers.
more,
Robert
more
Eggers.
violent, like
Yeah.
a violent.
Yeah, oh my God.
It's a violent Hamlet.
Violent as hell, but fun. I thought it was fun.
And it's beautiful, and it
Yeah.
is really quite beautiful, really beautiful.
Oh,
And
but
he-
sorry, go ahead.
no, he's a style. I think he's a good stylist.
Yeah. Was part of what we were talking about earlier.
He's the
where-
same director from The Lighthouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lighthouse, Norseman, The Witch. Do you remember The Witch?
I haven't seen The Witch. I've seen the
Anya
other two.
Taylor
Joy.
Taylor
Yeah.
Joy.
Who was
Yeah.
in the Northman.
Yes, she's in that too.
But Black and White also an Oscar winner from the other night. You wouldn't have Godzilla -1 minus color. My son and I went to see it.
Well, he went to
in
see the
theater.
black and white version.
Color is gorgeous, and I gave it so many props for being really low budget, $15 million. And ironic because years ago they gave props to Ang Lee for making Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon,
Yeah.
and then for $15 million, when
Yeah.
Hollywood was making that same kind of film for $50 million.
Yeah.
No offense to Gareth Edwards, but creator, visually compelling, but $86 million is not low budget. Anyway,
But I feel that all that budget goes into like merchandising and promotion.
and redundancy. One of the great things about being independent filmmakers, and you folks know it, I'm sure Carlson, you know this very well, is that without having that access to money, you are, not to say that Gareth wouldn't be creative, and I met him the other night, and I gave him praise for especially for Monsters, his first movie, but it's not the same level of creativity when you don't have ILM and so on at your beck and call. When you're doing for 35 people doing it for $15 million, or even the previous year, which should have been nominated with Everything Everywhere All at Once. In fact, it's basically 5 people with After Effects making visual effects.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
And no, I was going to say, and Greg is working on a project himself, and it's amazing what you can do. Like, there's just this excess of money, and he's doing these amazing things. He and his son.
My son, oh my God, Magnus is doing such great stuff with nothing.
Are creating creatures, and you're like, and he showed me like some of this stuff. And
For the Dinosaur 4, yeah.
It's amazing, the Dinosaur 4. And I'm like, yes, go for it. The thing is, a low budget forces you to be creative, and it forces you to figure out things and take what you have and makes people believe something that's happening. And he's doing this, and I'm like, I'm in awe. And I was
Well, for your stuff, it's fantastic that same way. Look, the thing is, I've learned this a long time ago, but I say it to students I've spoken to when I've at panels and film festivals and so on, is the creative triangle, right? So, and I guess it applies to anything, but definitely with creativity. It's fast, cheap, good, and you pick 2. And for better, for worse, we've had, and this has happened with me.
I like that triangle. It's a good formula.
It is a great formula.
It happens to me from the days back in the day in the Bronx, growing up in the projects, to now growing up as an underprivileged kid, to now. And definitely when I'm making my films and producing my films for my friends and so on, and working with Jason's, it's like, I didn't have the money for the other stuff. So you go, oh, good and cheap.
Yeah.
It's going to take a hell of a long time, though.
Yeah.
And at 60, I've been in the business now for 40 years, from intern to now.
Yeah.
And it's what I had to settle for, especially because people think you can't do crap because we can curse, right?
Yeah.
We can fucking curse, right?
Of course you can fucking curse.
Fucking This is us at the Oscar the other night. We're up in the rafters, and my editor from the film.
This was on Sunday.
This is Sunday. So
He went to the Oscars.
The ABC's A Book Manning we had 2
works in documentaries.
MTV Doc films. We had my big boss Sheldon Evans was behind the company, the department, and making these great content. And she made this great film where we had one called The Eternal Memory, which was a feature, and we had the one that she created from whole cloth called ABC's A Book Manning. Anyway, one of our editor on it, Gladys Murphy, was there. We're up in the rafters 10 years ago, same spot at Oscars.
I don't think the nosebleed seats are.
No, we had oxygen, man. My oxygen tank was almost empty by the time they did the final announcement of the picture.
Do you remember Willy Wonka? It's up where they touch the ceiling where the blades are.
It's like, oh, God. But I said, she screamed out, I wrote it down. I was like, I fucking love editors. I love fucking editors. I love editors. And we all screamed out loud when the editing category came up. Anyway, sorry. All this to say that, back to the original point, people get hooked on, like I see you with your cameras, and I have one. I don't have that one. I want that one. And
That was the one that they used for
the creator.
The creator.
And more power to
Black
again.
Magic? No, what is
No,
it?
it's Sony.
Sony, I'm sorry.
F3.
FX3.
FX3.
wow.
And especially because it's Sony, they were hyping up the fact that it's and ultimately, and I learned this from my father years ago. Because I learned photography from him when he wasn't doing electrical engineering, is that it's not about the camera. It's about you as an artist. And that's, again, with that triangle. You can get Ansel Adams, speaking of black and white, and large format and have a beautiful picture. But then you could have a little, Ansel could have taken any camera
and made beautiful
pictures. And that camera is not going to make your film beautiful.
You are.
If you don't know how to shoot, I remember back in the day before all this stuff, you could shoot 35 millimeter if you can afford it, and this film is crappy. So I mean, it's like it's still about being as creative as possible, and
with the resources
Yeah.
that you have. Exactly. Like you can make a great movie on Super 8.
Right.
Although Kodak has that new $5,000 Super 8 camera.
I know, I've seen
Holy
it, man.
shit.
Well, look with Robert Rodriguez, right? I
Yeah.
mean, and
El
with
Mariachi
El Mariachi,
Mariachi.
which as much as no offense, Robert. While I don't love everything he's doing now, I still respect his game, and even more so with the first film. Same with Nolan. My favorite Christopher Nolan film, still to this day, is probably Memento.
Well, you're not talking about Following. Following
I
is
know.
the first movie.
I know, but I'm saying, but first one I liked.
I'm a stickler.
I
That
know.
was in black and white. The following.
Well, his first hit film.
His first, yes, exactly.
The first hit one was Memento, and having those limited resources. Same with Robert Rodriguez. As much as Desperado is fun, having nothing to work with for El Mariachi, I think, made a big difference.
Well, it's a bit of a bummer to see him that he hasn't really fully progressed, or he hasn't fulfilled the imagination of what El Mariachi was.
Right.
Because El Mariachi was
The
just
promise.
swing by the seat of the by the seat of your pants, and just doing anything that you can, and then it just feels like he didn't graduate, or he
Right.
didn't like get to either making more of those type of movies, which I would have been fine with, or at least move to a more mature
Right.
space,
Well, same thing when it comes to, and I won't go too far down this rabbit hole, but even when it comes to James Cameron, right? Again, I respect his game. We were talking earlier about craft, and filmmakers who come from commercials and so on, but he definitely did like we did. Meaning, first of all, he stole my career. Because I wanted to be an oceanographer. I studied. I was originally a scientist. That's what I went to college for. That's what my parents were like.
He did. He spent a lot of time at the bottom of a lake.
I
right?
did.
At the bottom of lake.
Well, because I had these
In a capsule, in a
I had
submarine,
These, no,
or?
I had these cement.
He had cement boots.
I was
Oh, you got in trouble with the mob then.
No, but the thing is, he started with like Roger Corman, respect his game, and Galen Hearn started with them, and they'd like let's do buildings, miniatures, and doing matte paintings and stuff. The spawning, what you call it,
Piranha.
Piranha 2. But I respected his game even more when it came to the Terminator and Aliens. Like, I'm gonna do Hollywood. I'm gonna take this other film by, no offense, Ridley, but one of his 3 best films,
Right.
which is Alien, and when he took Aliens and flipped the script, that film was so fantastic before he fell in love with technology, because it's all
practical.
Practical. And look,
Practical effects.
I have nothing else. I love CGI. I love digital, but that one. But when you go as far as Cameron's gone with, and as much as I respect the craft and the passion behind the Avatar movies, I don't respect the storytelling as much. What he did with Gale, and maybe it's because he had that kind of producer with him, and he was still hungry. What he did with Aliens in there, and all the practical stuff in there, and making do with what you got. Oh, let's do rear screen projection. It's not, no, the way I do it, it'll look fantastic.
Right, and he's very, like, even on the Titanic, it's like the dishes had to be perfect. Come on, nobody gives a shit about the fucking dishes.
Oh, and the recreation, which is down in Mexico, is 100 feet shy of the real Titanic. I would never known.
That's not movie magic. To me, that's not movie magic.
That's not movie magic.
Movie magic is making you believe something is there that is
Right.
not there. I produced this horror movie for my friend. Forgive me for. I'm going to take over for 1 sec.
That's right.
I produced this horror movie. No, and we were just talking about this the other night. It's like the idea is like that you can cheat things. We shot in Connecticut. We shot in this house in Connecticut. There's a shot where we have a kid on a bed, and then in the edit, the next shot is him jumping over the camera over the bed. And I said to my director, I said, we are missing a shot. We need the kid to look down at his feet and at the floor. I said, so we're still in his point of view. Well, we're not in Connecticut. We're in Los Angeles now. Well, we rigged up something in my apartment. There was a wood floor that was similar to the thing in the thing. We put a mattress on a dolly thing, and we had our DP, and we just looked down. Our first assistant director is a very talented young Indian woman, and she had small feet, and so we looked down on her. It's the best. For me, it's my favorite shot in the film because it's seamless. It looks exactly like the kids' things, and no one knows that we shot it in Los Angeles and the rest of it was shot in Connecticut. And I'm like, that's the magic of movies: is cheating, is making you think that you're seeing something that you're not seeing. I don't want to see the dishes from the Titanic. We're not paying attention to that. We're paying attention to the actors. We're paying attention to the story. Why waste all of that money when you can also pay people more too, instead of working on stuff that's off in the corner that nobody gives a shit about.
Well, it's verisimilitude, right?
I'll get off my soapbox.
One of the first words that I remember learning did we technically go to film school?
Pause 1 second.
Yeah, sure.
I need to change that chair for you.
This chair.
Yeah.
Mine is the one that's squeaking.
I think so.
I kind of thought.
Wait, let me do something. Do you hear this?
I just want you to be
It's
more-
my ass, right?
Well, I was trying to be as still as possible,
No,
but I
no,
heard
it's
it.
good. It's good. There's always a sound.
We're gonna include this in the podcast anyway. I think it's fun.
It's my voice, right? You hate my
squeaky.
voice.
Oh, this is less squeaky.
Who has the squeaky voice?
Yeah. Then we can.
It's my voice, isn't it, right? Man with
I
two
had a
brains.
girlfriend. She killed me.
Man with two brains.
So anyway,
It's my voice, right?
It's my voice.
It's my voice.
Have you seen Man with Two Brains?
a man with 2 brains.
Man with Steve Martin.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm not just. You guys,
have
you
to
guys,
watch that
you
film.
guys
Listen.
have more.
And I haven't even gotten to the 50s.
And
No, you're over
there's only-
50.
No, I'm talking about the 1950s.
1950s.
We're going on the road. No, but the thing is, shit.
Because I'm a big fan of Anthony Mann. Anthony Mann westerns and Anthony Mann film noir.
What did we?
He's such
What
a
was
great
I?
director.
The thing I was about to say.
We were talking about. Well, I made the comment about why do
Movie
use in the
magic.
corner,
We were
movie
talking about
magic
movie
and stuff
magic.
in the corner, and you were going on to. I don't know. I got distracted by the.
Well,
chair.
let's start here. Let's start here. Let's go back to the triangle.
Yes.
For example, there's
Yes.
a director called his name was Eric Romer.
Yeah,
You remember that guy?
French guy.
Yeah. So he was pretty. He did pretty good with the.
My Night at Maud's.
and
I remember it. I'll put it over here.
Claire's Knee. He was really good with like low budget.
Simple
Yeah.
dialogue pictures.
And he was really good with the critics. Like he did really well in festivals and everything. But I feel like he's like the only one I've seen like break the rule with the triangle, where it's like good, it's accepted in theater, with the critics and the festivals. But he like, the dialogue is almost non-existent, like everything's improvised.
Right.
Sure.
And
And there are people like that too. I
and
think
they shoot really quick. And the story kind of like drives you along, and it's like very like minimal
Yeah.
type of thing. No special effects, just like some drama there.
the Safdie brothers. Did
The
same
collectionist.
thing.
Well, the Mike Lee does he also?
Mike Lee does that.
Yeah. Well,
Because
even-
his is improv.
Well, but even what's his name? Well, because I'm thinking about improv. But even with John Cassavetes.
Yeah.
When I went to grad school.
The first really
Right, with Shadows and so on. I didn't realize until later because I grew up with him, watching him in Dirty Dozen and so on. I mean, so I knew him as an
Rosemary's
actor.
Baby.
You saw him as an
Rosemary-
actor, but
I
as
saw him as an actor. I didn't know until I got to study in film school that this guy, and I'm inspired.
Yeah.
Like, I'm taking that money.
Yeah.
Like George Clooney did this at a certain point, right? I'm getting the money from the big movies, right? From the
Yeah.
the big Hollywood films, the Soderbergh films. And I'm making my own stuff. So same thing with Cassavetes. I'm going to do Dirty Dozen.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I love that or not, but I'm going to do that so I can do
My
Shadows.
So he can do his passion
Right.
projects.
Right.
And then he was doing that, and again with the whole fast, cheap, good, right? I'm going to do this resource so I can do what I can with this. And they were doing a lot of improv. They would sit down and they would brainstorm stories and characters with Jenna Rollins.
But they were doing actor exercises
right,
too.
Exactly.
So.
But I remember the point I was going to bring up is about, and I was going to say, did we really go to film school?
We didn't go to film
So
school.
technically, we didn't go to film school. Again,
No, our film school was literally, because we were undergrad.
making
was-
films. Making films is
And
the
working
first-
on
Well,
films.
and working on films. We
18,
worked on
21-hour days on an independent film called
Deadly Obsession.
Deadly Obsession.
Oh my
Look
God.
for it on VHS, folks.
Darnell Williams was the lead actress in it, and she became a director for a nanosecond. What happened to her?
And
She
by the
was
way,
like one of the
Darnell,
first-
I did not say your name associated with Deadly Obsession. Please forgive me.
Yeah. Well, the thing is,
She was a music video director, and then later on she directed Their Eyes Are Watching God, the Zora Neale Hurston film. She did a big splash with thinking of Robert Rodriguez, and first time out, we're giving Columbia Pictures, I think, produced and released I Like It Like That.
I Like It Like That.
Which
That
was her
the
story
movie.
from being an Afro-Latino woman from the Bronx and so on. Wonderful stuff, but
And I'll tell you,
Cadillac Records too. Sorry,
As we were just, I was a PA. I think you were in the gaffing.
you're talking about for Deadly
For
Obsession.
Deadly Obsession. But at the time, I think and this is such, and I'm saying this as a bad reflection. I think we made fun of her because she had a process while acting, like she had to take a moment to get into the crying mode. And now that I'm directing, I'm like, I have the utmost respect. And the truth of the matter is, and I ended up working as an apprentice sound editor on that film. We worked on a Steenbeck, if you can imagine. And her performance was great, and we were making fun of her on set because she had a process, because we didn't understand what the process was. So again, we
Were you
learned.
an assistant
We
outside
learned.
editor?
We learned, even though we were assholes. We did learn. But she was great, and I'm like, I have nothing but respect now for actors because they're putting themselves on the line.
Yeah.
And it's your job to make them feel safe and feel whatever it is, not make fun or whatever it is, even on a low budget film.
Not all actors can cry on action.
Oh no, it's
Like Margaret Robbie, she was talking about how she can cry anytime, like all the time, and
Yeah.
she in her movies she cries like that.
Yeah.
There's actually a scene, I think it was Babylon,
Yes.
where she cry, you have to cry now, and she's just crying.
And she could just do it.
Yeah.
But some people have to get into that space.
Right.
and the director has to like make that comfort zone so the actors can get to that
Right.
moment.
No, but the thing is, so we didn't go to film school. So I found Rochester because I went to Walden, and my advisor.
Well, they didn't know that we went to University of Rochester.
University of Rochester, but
That's in New York.
yeah,
Upstate New York.
Upstate New York.
I'm up, where it's cold and snowy and dark and gray. But it's
The
an
George
artistic-
Eastman House
right.
is there, with the archival library.
Film exactly.
That's a Kodak.
Yes. So grew up in the Bronx and the projects. You know, am I going to get this stuff? Got scholarships, got grants. When I was going to school, again through a grant at a school called Walden, which all these stars went there, Matthew Broderick.
Matthew Broderick.
Right?
My brother went to Walden.
Yes. So I'm there, and when my advisor, with my parents, it's like 1982, they're saying, well, what do you want to do? I said, well, I was going to do science. You know, I grew up, I watched the men land on Apollo 11, land on the moon. I watched Jacques Cousteau going about in the ocean. I love science. And they were loving that, you know, because they come from humble beginnings. We're upper working class. Cool. When I say I want to make films, they say, you're black, and it's now. There are no more black filmmakers. This is stupid. Do science, make the money on the side, make your films. Now, of course, if I had told them at the time I didn't want to be a director, I want to be an editor or a sound mixer or something like that, or a camera person.
Something technical.
In other words, right, some idiot will hire me to make their dream movie come life. They would say, okay, fine. Some fool wants to pay you $50 an hour to...
Well, who was available? Melvin Van Peebles. And,
Wasn't doing-
and Oscar Michaud was 50
long
years
dead.
earlier. Exactly.
And Gordon Parks.
And Gordon
And this
Parks.
is 4 years before Spike Lee. This
Yeah.
is 4 years before...
Because Spike Lee came out when we were in college.
right. Julie Dash was just later. I mean, there's a lot that had not crept up, right?
Yeah.
And nothing like... There wasn't a renaissance of independent filmmaker and stuff that came along with Soderbergh and so on. No, why are you doing this? However, Judith Kaplan, my advisor, she was connected with University of Rochester. Her son was going there, Matt Kaplan. And I looked in the list of, not on a computer, because I didn't have a computer back then. There was no computers back then. But I looked in the listing, and it had, in the English department, there is
There's
a
a
film
film
studies thing. So get to Rochester, make connections, friends. Met him within like the first month or something through a connection.
Who, me?
Yeah. Yeah, you.
Oh.
No.
I thought you were talking about somebody else.
No, it's you. It was the other Jason. No, anyway. So I get there, and I saw, you know, as I'm in the auditorium, and it was like, oh my God, advanced calculus, and struggling with that with my TA. And then, as much as I love science, we're doing quantum mechanics and stuff. And when I love physics as in building tables and filling silos and, you know, designing things. As much as I love science and science fiction, when you're talking about quarks and black holes and neutron stars, in science fiction it's fun when I'm trying to deal with theoretical. And I kept thinking about English and film. And eventually I said, oh, I'm signing up my major as film with a dual major as English. And at first I was thinking, well, shouldn't I have gone to RIT, Rochester Institute of Technology, which is
a
like
much more technical school.
Right.
They had, Diane went there. Diane, who won an Academy Award last year for
Navalny.
But it was a photography school,
Right.
And a film. And
it was like it would have been like NYU, right? So or School of Visual Arts.
School of Visual Arts.
Right. So if I go there, it's sort of a sister school. I could learn more technical stuff, and I'd learn a lot through my father when he wasn't doing electrical engineering stuff. We took photographs, and we went to movies. My mother and I watched television. My father and I went to movies when they were separated since I was a kid. But I thought, oh, I'll do this on the side. No, Greg, stay here. I think this is me theorizing, because they don't care anyway.
Yeah.
And when I tell them, they will kill me. I said, I'll do film, I'll do English, because I'm great with that, and I want to write and such, and I'll do film studies because this is something I probably can't get in the outside. Because I already interned on a couple of pilots and such. I know what a C-stand and so on. I knew that stuff. This I probably can't get on the outside world about mise-en-scène and story structure.
It was a very thorough thing where you'd watch movies, and there were a lot of film.
Professor
courses.
Gollin, Richard Gollin.
We had a lot of professors, and you analyze films, and it's very helpful because a lot of people don't analyze, or they just want to make the movies, but they don't have the history behind them. And we were watching movies, I don't know, 5-6 days a week.
Oh my God!
It was just
and George
insane.
Gorella.
And George Gorella, yeah.
And Constance Penley. Look, the thing is, back to the word I was thinking about, which I apply to everything, along with the triangle, is verisimilitude. And it's one of the first words I learned, and you can correct me on this stuff if I'm saying it correctly, is that suspension of disbelief. And ultimately, this applies to all of the creative media and such, which is basically screw exact plates and this and that. And because ultimately it's fake.
Yeah.
It's an illusion. We learned it from George Méliès and so on. It's not real. None of it's real. They're talking about, no offense, but this digital is bad, blah, blah, this whole hype now. And practical is better? No, it's all illusion. It's never real. It's about, I think, from ILM, what's his name? Now I forget his name. I saw Richard Edlund the other night. It's not ILM. Anyway, the head of, I'll figure it out. But he said, it's all pixels. Forget about digital in the computer. It's all pixels.
Yeah.
When you take,
It's all molecules in real life.
It's all molecules.
We may even be in a hologram.
right.
Right. So,
Exactly, or in the Matrix.
or in the Matrix.
There's a great quote by Ernst Lubitsch. I don't know if you know Ernst Lubitsch, great film director
Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
30s. But he also ran Paramount at one point. I believe he ran Paramount, which is I've been to Paris, France.
Dennis Muren, sorry.
Yeah.
Dennis, apologies.
I've been to Paris, France, and I've been to Paris, Hollywood. I prefer Paris, Hollywood, because it's fake and it's beautiful and you can do things like that. And what I'm saying is, with you, I agree. It has to be fake, but you make people believe.
Right. We're magicians, right? We're magicians in the end.
And then if you're throwing money at things, it just doesn't. It's like you're not using resources. You're not using the scientific brain. You're not using things like, how do we fake this? I love practical effects. I do love digital effects. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Oh my God.
Practical effects.
Forced perspective.
I love that.
Same thing with
Lord of the Rings.
Elf.
And Elf.
And
Yes,
Elf.
exactly, right.
Yeah, how do you make a guy look big when he's not really big? Well, you put him in a smaller seat and you put him close to the camera. Even matte paintings and glass paintings. We were talking about
That's
this
forced
the other day.
perspective also, Matt.
We were talking about
paintings.
Charlie Chaplin the other
Charlie
day.
Chaplin in the modern times. There's that scene where he's roller skating
Yeah.
on the edge of the thing,
Yeah.
and it's a glass.
Yeah,
it's-
he's practically he's safe.
yeah, he's totally safe,
Yeah.
but it feels dangerous, and we believe that he might fall.
Even acting, technically, I mean, because you're thinking about...
Or even Buster Keaton, even if he's using real things,
Right.
but whatever. But
He's doing real stunts too.
Right.
Yeah.
But even what your quote applies to, and the verisimilitude applies to acting ultimately, because people, again, it's illusion. And I think about...
I feel like acting, you have to be like con man. You have to be like
Right.
But that's the thing.
Make people
Marathon
believe.
Man
All
is the classic quote from behind the scenes, right? I think they were outside of Bryant Park.
Lawrence Olivier.
He says, what do you do, my dear boy? He says,
Lawrence
I'm
Olivier
Get ready,
to
because I'm so
Dustin
excited. I said,
Hoffman.
why don't you try acting?
Acting.
It's like, it's not real, dude.
Yeah.
It's like...
No, and that's the thing. And so I'm with you. I think actors should be able to play a multitude of different
Yeah.
roles. Listen, confessional, I'm a gay guy. I'm fine with any actor playing a gay guy. They don't have to be gay. I find it actually annoying that that's a thing. And the truth of the matter is, as a gay guy, I watch movies and I sometimes find straight guys are better gay guys on screen. Do you know what I mean? It's like sometimes they do it. John Ritter in in Sling Blade plays this very closeted, or not very closeted, he plays an out gay guy in a small town. It is one of the most nuanced, beautiful performances ever because he gets it right. And you're like, oh, and it's a particular type of gay guy. But he's so great in it, and he's not gay. He was not gay in real life, and it's the greatest performance ever. And I'm like, and underlooked. And you're like, well, why wouldn't you? You're an actor. You can play anything. And if gay guys can play straight, why can't straight guys play gay? It doesn't make sense to me.
Look, I mean...
It's different.
Right, sorry,
I think
go ahead.
I think blackface is a little bit different. We were talking about Robert Downey Jr. Again, that's a character making fun of actors playing parts.
No, but full disclosure, I'm a black man. Just want to put it out there. I don't know if you know that. I'm just saying I'm a black man.
shit.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Are you kidding me?
No.
I had no idea.
Hold
Wait,
on a second.
We would have never noticed.
I'm out of here. But so in reference to playing, when it comes to the voice actors, right?
Yeah.
And that whole case with Hengazur and Apu on Simpsons and such.
We're really opening a can of worms, aren't
No,
we?
or even with
We're talking about like the woke. We're getting into woke territory
Well, I
here.
won't go too far down this rabbit hole, but in reference to what we've been talking about, because it's all illusion anyway, I don't mind so much a white actor playing a black character or what. And look, for 30-something years, a woman's been playing a little boy and successfully on The Simpsons. What I find is let everybody do it then. So for Family Guy, Seth MacFarlane should have been hiring Phil Lamar and everybody to do
Agreed.
voices because Phil Lamar's played multiple characters who aren't all black.
Yeah. Right.
So on Family Guy or The Simpsons, it should have been Hank and Stewart and have some black because I don't think there was anybody black in that cast. playing inner voices.
I don't think so. But
Right.
but I will say that listening to Harry Shearer play Dr. Hibbert was a little disconcerting on some level.
Right.
So
And
I mean, is it weird to have to pick your points of upsetness?
but
I
anyway,
don't know. I think that's that's what we have to. I think through conversation, you just open and say it. Like,
Right.
for example, I don't agree with like so many woke things because I think it gets in the way of like
It
art
gets in the way of art.
and artistic endeavors.
And because then you're going into self-censorship. And I was telling somebody recently, self-censorship is the worst thing possible because you're not letting what's really there come out, and you'll only end up with mediocrity instead of art, instead of true entertainment, instead of true truth, really.
but
I think Woody Allen said like Woody Allen, a woke villain.
Listen,
He said like if you try to please everyone, you'll please no one.
exactly.
Right, it's true.
And that's true with anything,
Yeah.
and that's true with anybody.
Which it also applies to creating art. When we're trying to make our films, and I've gone through, because I've gone through, as you know, for 40-something years, major levels of insecurity. And things will creep up in me all the time. And when I'm able to apply that to the art, it comes out some beautiful material. However, when it comes to actually stepping off the ledge, or to quote, What About Bob, it's like taking those baby steps, right? I get nervous about it because part of mine is, what will so-and-so say? What blah, 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 blah. I went to this back even in Rochester, in our few film making classes. I was about to not finish a film I was working on because I couldn't get an actor to play all my roles. I had to play one of the parts myself, which we were talking about this earlier. I really am not big for actors writing, directing, and so on, because they're not good at discerning which parts are good or bad.
It's hard to multitask and
Right.
also like to be
Right.
critical on your performance as an
Right.
actor. Yeah.
But some people really do have it in them, and some people really don't. We were just talking. I had an ex-friend who was a writer, director, actor, and I said, maybe you should focus on one. And she said, but I love them all. And I thought to myself, great, but you're not good at any of them.
But I mean, but the anxiety, the thing is, you're trying to please everybody. I mean, I'm getting these zones of anxiety. And ultimately, when our teacher, Mark, who,
Mark
I don't
Brady.
know, I've not seen anyone to this day do the same thing. Smoking cigarettes
He would
was
break-
common. He'd break the cigarettes in half, take the fill off, and he'd smoke, and he's doing class. He's constantly,
Smoke each half.
that and George Gorella, our other professor,
You're ruining all my future characters.
he would be in the auditorium as we're learning film studies, and he'd announce that no one in his class will ever get an A. And by the way, anyone in his class, you should all know English. And if you don't, get out now. He would smoke during the class. But anyway, Mark, I had wanted to not do the film anymore. I had started this film, and I was nervous about it. I hated what I had shot. And I was thinking too much about the school and the assignment and so on and so on. And he says, finish it. No, I'm gonna do it. You're gonna finish the film. Don't worry about those things. Do it.
Yeah, you got to finish it
Because you started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
If you
is
don't finish, that's
You can't satisfy everybody. Just do it because it's in you to get it done. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, I think that you've been applying that to yourself now,
Yeah.
because you've been working on this project, and he's also applying all of his scientific stuff. I mean, Greg has been a huge inspiration. He's also one of the associate producers on my new film, because we have the dialogue back and forth. I'm like, how does this sound? How does this sound? Like from script to act to casting and all that sort of stuff. And Greg has an exquisite analytical mind, something we both picked up in
Yeah.
Rochester.
Yes.
And he's been doing it also for years, like just judging documentaries for HBO when he was working at HBO. I mean, we both worked at HBO at one point, and I'm like, he made more of HBO than I possibly ever could have. And I was just like, I got to get out of here. But he's been doing that, and his notes are perfect. On my first film, he gave me a note, and it's so funny. The first thing that you say when somebody, like, when you're starting out is, when somebody gives you a note, don't react or don't defend. And I knew that, and I know that very well. And he gave me a note. We were up in Seattle at the Seattle International Film Festival, and I just showed him a rough cut. And I was having a problem with the rough cut because I didn't have an ending. And he gave me some notes, and I was defensive.
You don't think I know that? I know that. You don't think I know that?
Exactly. And then, of course, but I did, to my credit,
Yes.
a month or so later, I said, listen, I apologize for jumping down your throat. I was a little defensive. I was very defensive. But your notes, I applied your notes And so here it is.
Right.
And so we did it.
But and the thing is, it's being open to that space. And in fact, you need, not only when it comes to an actor / director, blah, 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 it's with any of this stuff. I think quite often it's like the whole thing with Plato's shadows, right?
Oh
In the
my
cave.
God, yeah.
Which,
The cave.
again, it was great about learning not just from film school, but from English and film studies, the whole idea of, or Aristotle's Poetics for Screenwriting.
Yes.
Love that book. But I applied it to my creative career all the time, the idea that we're looking at shadows, right? And as creatives, and when I'm speaking to students at schools at, NYU, so and blah, 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 or at film festivals, or talking to filmmakers, when I'm unfortunately passing a film, I said, maybe, even if it's going to hurt, ask 10 people to watch your film. You can ask 2 or 3 friends, because you want that comfort zone, and then ask 7 or 8 people who don't know the shit, who don't care.
You have to have people tell you the truth, and you have to open up the space for them to tell you the truth, because
Right.
you don't want somebody to just say, "Oh, it was nice," or "Oh, I really like the sets," or "Oh, it looked really beautiful," because those are not helpful notes. Or "Yeah, oh no, it was wonderful, good for you."
Because each of those people,
Like constructive
Right.
criticism, something that people can build on.
and some people are going to say it in an obnoxious, annoying way anyway, but still, you got to take that with a grain of salt as well.
But you filter what they're saying.
Right.
But you want somebody to tell you, I wish you had a shot of this, or I wish you had something of that, or
I know you wish it, but
or like, oh, is there any footage of this, or whatever it is, or even in the script stage, it's like, does this work? Is it funny? Is it making me laugh, or is it not making me laugh, or is it on story? Is it on point? And there are people. You get a close posse of people, and Greg and I have been friends. We tell each other, like, we're honest with each other.
Yes.
Right.
I've helped him. He's helped me.
Yes.
He's helped me a great deal. And we just talk about it, but we have that space to open up. And it's less about your ego or your feelings, and it's more about how do you make this the best thing that you can do.
because once it's done,
Yeah.
it's done.
Right.
When it's out there in the world,
Yeah.
there's nothing you can do, unless you're George Lucas and you decide to go back to revamp a wonderful film that should never been tampered with.
Yeah.
No offense, George, but should have left Star Wars alone. Marsha and the gang did a great job editing that film. Should have left it alone. But anyway, why? I think Herzog said this.
So the notes are better in like the first cut, rough cut.
Right. Then you move on. I think someone had asked Herzog
But also
about...
feel safe enough to send somebody a script.
Right.
I mean,
That's
I go through the
because
process. I have.
We share all the time with this
Yeah.
stuff, and
Yeah.
you get the notes, because once you go into, you're on a set with actors and light, and you're burning light, right? That's done. And then once it's edited, you're in the edit room, what you have is what you have.
Yeah.
And if you had heard a little more and you opened your mind up a little before, you would have gotten an extra shot. You would have gotten a coverage for that. You would have gotten an insert. And then you'd have that to play with. You don't get to fix it in post. And I don't just mean in terms of visual effects,
Yeah.
everything.
There's something that's not fixable in post.
Right.
Right.
things, yeah.
Some things are, and some things are not. You can fix a performance, hopefully.
You can do wonders,
You can-
again, because it's magic, right?
You can do wonders, but it's about being open enough to do that and understanding you really can't be you can't have your ego.
No
in it.
ego.
It's about what is making this the best thing, and it will drive you forward.
You gotta kind of surrender your ego and listen to.
Yes and no. Ego pushes things forward.
Ego helps to a degree. Yes,
Right.
Exactly.
It drives the train, because the problem is that ultimately it's just me. As much as I have him or my son, if I don't believe in this,
Well, that's your
no one's gonna
experience
believe
right
it.
now.
Yeah.
Well, and the truth matters. Nobody's gonna love your film or baby your film
Right.
or carry your film to fruition the way you are.
And then at some point you take the ego hat off and you put it aside.
So you do have to have an ego to defend your idea, because if you think it's worth fighting for, you have to defend it at some point. But you also have to be open-minded to listen
Sure.
to
Well,
things.
over the decades, all of us have probably watched a gazillion films about the same exact things. And as programmers, as cinephiles, I have watched everything under the sun multiple times. People think they're so unique every year at every film festival and such. And dude, I'm just trying to be nice to you. Sorry, there's been 3 movies I watched today about people circumnavigating the globe in a rowboat. You think you're unique, but unfortunately not. And it's true. That was 1 year I was at a festival in New York City. It's like,
I was just at a festival, and there were so many ones about suicide and mental health, and I'm like, and my film, weirdly enough, is about mental health, but I take the comic spin off of it.
Right.
I put a comic spin on it, and I'm like, there was one movie, and they all have the thing at the end, which is, if you know somebody who's suicide hotline. But I'm like, your film is inducing me not to call a suicide hotline, it's to actually commit suicide. And I used to program a film festival too, so I used to go through movies, and I would have to go through, watch them. And I can be generous, and I can understand, you're a student, you're discovering film language, or you're an adult, and you're you don't quite have the thing, but you appreciate it. And I know Greg, when he was at HBO, used to write personal notes to people and say, or call them up.
Yeah.
And when I programmed my film festival, I used to program the Austin Film Festival and Screenwriting Competition.
That's how I got in.
97, 98. That's not necessarily just how you got
Well, that's how I
but
did.
it, but it helped. How's that? But it helped. But I used to write notes and say, there was a guy who submitted a 40-minute film based on an Ethan Kanin short story that I had read. And I'm like, it's a beautiful film. How do you program a 40-minute short? I said, this is a beautiful film. Either push it to 90 minutes
Make it
or,
feature.
or 80 minutes and make it a feature, or pull it back and do 10 minutes. I'm a big believer that shorts should be short. I think horror and certain dramas have a leeway. You can go, but I feel like I'm rambling all over the place. AFI have great students, but their films are generally 20 minutes long, and I'm like, cut 10 minutes out of that. But that's their mandatory thing, is that they have to have a 20-minute film. And some people, I have a friend who made a sci-fi film, which was great at 20 minutes, but some films go on too long. But the idea is, it's either push to the feature or whatever it is. But I was very generous with my time to these people because they made an effort, they put an effort. And you want to know, as a filmmaker, even if you're rejected, that somebody is acknowledging the time that you put in. That, and because you put your heart into it. For some reason, I thought this film wasn't anything, because I was like, it wasn't the film that I had intended to make. I was working on another film, and I was just stuck on it. And then a friend of mine, I had lunch with a friend, and they said, when I was at NYU, John Guare, the playwright, came in and said, I work on 4 different projects, and I get stuck on one, I go to the next. I'm like, I don't have 4 different projects. And I'm like, oh, I guess I do. I have an old script that was something, blah, blah, blah. And they forced me into this thing, and I'm like, okay, I'll make this film. And I thought, oh, this is a light film, it's easy. And again, setting out an experience for yourself, each film should be a learning experience.
Yeah.
My first film, I learned a shit ton. My second film, I'm like, okay, my goal for this film is I'm going to show people that I can direct actors. So I have 2 people in a room. How do you make it interesting? How do you make it visual? How do you get the audience to stay with you? And my biggest thing is I put a lot of Easter eggs in the movie of them, and it's just 2 people sitting in a couch. It's a therapy session.
We're talking about this movie right here.
This movie
Help
right
is on
here.
the way.
Help is on the way. But I put Easter eggs in the books.
Yeah.
If you look at the books on his side, they tell you what is going to happen at the end, which I will not reveal because it's
Really,
a
I have
surprise
to,
ending.
that's interesting because I have to watch it again now.
Yeah.
And then on her,
I missed that. I missed those.
because you're paying attention to
These
them
things will-
talking.
Yeah.
Which
I was focused on that.
Which at some point is actually really rewarding to me, because you care more about that than you care about. You're not bored enough to be looking at the sides of the screen.
Yeah.
And on her side, I make a cameo appearance. I'm in the top cover
Yeah.
of her book.
Yeah.
But her books are all about help and care and all that sort of stuff. And also in the background, there's plants, there's life on her side. And on his side, it's a little gray and darker.
Yeah, and you have the shades.
And you
That's-
have a noir sort of look on him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but I do that as a director. But the fact that you didn't notice that is heartwarming to me, because I'm like, I played a little magical trick on you. You're so interested that you don't notice the little Easter eggs that I'm putting in there.
Right.
So,
But that's just, look, the thing is, again, back to the other point. Sorry.
but that's us learning from
Right.
the analytical.
Film studies, right? Because you're about mise en scène, which, by the way, now, and not to say you have, not everyone has to go to college. Right? Not everyone has to go to, seriously.
You don't.
Yeah.
The old school thing is like, you have to. In this industry,
That's
it's
what
about-
Tarantino says. Tarantino says, don't pay for film school.
It's relationships, and even more so now, because I would go crazy getting Blu-rays and DVDs. Yes, by the way, there were Blu-rays and DVDs, not just streaming. Like,
No, and wait a minute. You're discounting Laserdiscs.
and
This guy,
we both still have. Well, I
This,
still have.
this guy helped me to Laserdisc Dracula, Francis Ford Coppola's
Oh my
Dracula.
God.
It's one of the greatest learning
so great.
films. And the Laserdisc,
If you can find it, and you can buy a $300 Laserdisc player on eBay or something, or $200. The levels of Coppola, what he did with that film is incredible. And this they curated, where you can go on, and there's a courtyard scene between Jonathan Hawker and
Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder.
and before he goes off to Dracula's castle, and he's like, I'm coming back, blah, blah, blah. And his whole thing with these peacock feathers at the end. You can re-edit the scene On the
On the laser
How
disc.
How do I want this scene to go? You see all the different cuts of the elements. You put the shots together where you think it should go, and then it shows you, how it really plays. I mean, all the commentary. That nowadays, if I had that, I wouldn't have gone to film school, or I wouldn't have paid.
Well, you didn't go to film school.
Right? No, I'm saying I wouldn't have gone. I may not have gone to college that way. I've gone to maybe a local college, save the money.
You did do like masters though on film related things.
Right. I mean, I would have done something else because ultimately our film, like I said, our film school was being on set. When I was on set for, a pilot, this and that, on Deadly Obsession, $60 a week for 6 weeks.
For you, I think I got paid $10 a week.
I mean,
And then I graduated
got
to $10 a day.
I got $6, no, but $60
This was
a week.
when $10 a week was still something you could do with it.
1987.
Yeah, exactly.
1987, I'm there
Oh,
on these
Jesus.
sets. We're up at Columbia University.
We're old.
18 to 21 hour days. Now I'm a hard worker, and I'm like, but this is crazy. I'm falling asleep on steps, concrete steps outside.
Which is hard because he doesn't sleep. So go ahead.
I'm sleeping now. You know that?
I did. I heard that.
You're talking in your sleep.
I do. You don't know the things. But we learned so much in terms of, first of all, in terms of team playing. Because ultimately that's what it's about. I mean, as much as you can do a lot on your own with this new technology, it helps so much against the idea of putting the ego aside and bouncing ideas off each other. And even now, it's just me and my son, where the then 12, 13-year-old, now the 21, soon to be 22-year-old, the fact that he can, we were working on computers separately. I'm doing animatics for the Dinosaur 4. He's doing computer graphics, making these photoreal dinosaurs. We can bounce ideas off of the other. So the things that we learned on that set for those 6 weeks was not just was a C-stand and was a 10K and so on, but working with actors.
Working with an assistant director. We were just talking
Assistant
to
director
the
was
AD.
crazy, this guy, but
But
got things done.
And that's the thing is that for me, like the AD seemed to be the most important person on the set. Even on my set, I felt a little superfluous on the first movie. I'm like, what am I doing here? This guy's just keeping the ball rolling.
Right.
And I'm like,
Or even when it comes to illusion, right? I think we had one blank firing gun on the entire shoot.
Oh,
and
Jesus.
when I wasn't assistant unit manager, set PA, grip, stand-in, I played a bit part in it. So I was one of the detectives. And they gave me a prop gun. We were running on campus at Columbia University and so on. We're coming down to this great grand hall, these steps, and we have the main guy surrounded before he goes and kidnaps the girl and run off into the sewers. And we're almost supposed to fire at him. They only had one gun that fired blanks. But if you set it up as singles, you have 5 guns.
That's the magic of film.
Because it's cinema. It's magic, right?
Or they could have turned it into a joke for
Right.
the movie. Like, okay, you shoot now, then
Right.
you get the other guy. Now you shoot.
that would
have been a good joke.
that would have been a great
That would
joke,
be great.
actually.
That would be
I'm
fantastic.
going to steal
You
that.
need-
Yeah, for a low budget. Yeah, I'm good. I like writing comedy. It could have been a good
It's a brilliant idea.
That would have been Leslie
low
Nielsen.
budget film noir.
It has to be. Exactly.
It's like, "Pff, you get him? No, you shoot now.
But again, that's leaning into your resources,
Right,
which
exactly.
is funny.
Without all the money.
But that's the whole point.
Super
Yeah,
16.
be
oh my
creative
God.
and use it as a strength instead
Yeah.
of a weakness.
But that's the thing is, it is about being creative. It is about doing stuff. It's taking what you all that you have and making it into funny. I shot my film in my apartment because I'm like, I don't want to pay Film LA.
Yeah.
Because they don't do anything.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, it's my house, so.
Well, even when it comes to
I
films
should probably
that
say that out loud.
No, that's okay. That's the way I like to write. Also, I like to write. Like I get to know other actors and like, okay, you want to do something? Let's collaborate. So I write like parts for them.
Yeah.
And let's try to make a drama or something happen out of these characters.
And where we have it.
right.
And then just use what we have, like the studio,
Oh,
like
this
the camera
studio
that
is
we have.
fucking amazing.
Like
this
we already
place
have
is fantastic, man.
we have this and we have this camera that was used for the creator. So let's doing stuff. You know, you guys are also welcome to collaborate. Collaborate on projects.
What do you cut on?
I'm totally
Huh?
good.
What do you use for editing?
My brother uses Premiere.
You do use Premiere? Okay.
I'm old man. I
I-
still use Final Cut Pro.
I have to start Premiere, but I did do my trailer on DaVinci Resolve. The trailer's
I'm so old school minded because when I first started learning editing, I was either doing a flatbed with
Yeah.
16, or I was using offline Sony decks, so 3/4 to 3/4 inch. So Final Cut-
we had to learn. When I was at school,
Yeah.
we had to
It was
use
3/4.
yeah 3/4 and also like VHS to VHS.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
That's
that was at Rochester. We had access to it.
that's all we had
And
access to.
we had access to a Moviola also, which is like
Yeah.
really old school,
Oh
where
my
you
God, I
cut
love that.
literally
Yeah.
cut.
And we had
We had Steam
we had
Deck.
the Super 8 thing.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
was like this little toy thing, and you literally cut and did the glue.
Yeah, it's like a
Yes.
cute little toy thing when you play to be a filmmaker.
and if you don't do it right, it breaks in the projector.
Yeah,
Although there's a great film it should be on YouTube. It's called Kung Fu Rascals.
Kung Fu Rascals.
And Steve Wang, who is a great makeup artist, I think he worked with Stan Winston and stuff like. He and the gang made this film like back in the '80s, which was a fantasy adventure action kung fu movie back then. And they did Force Perspective, this, that. Oh my God, Film Threat magazine, Chris Gore's magazine back in the day.
Yeah. No, he's still- Film Threat's
They did
still
an
around.
article about this, making of this. Anyway, it's online. They shot it on Super 8 for next to nothing, and it's a great,
you can
great
make
stuff.
a great masterpiece, or even like a great film, engaging
Yeah.
film, just with what little resources you have.
Oh, yeah.
But the fact that Kodak just released a Super 8 film,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super 8 camera
Is it
again.
a combo?
It's a combo video, whatever it is. But it looks really cool. And I'm like, well, I kind of like the fact that they're bringing it out again.
Yeah.
Because it's like it gives you more.
More options.
I mean,
Yeah.
look, you can use the iPhone. Greg has been adamant to me about going through and doing a rough of my film
Yeah.
just using the iPhone.
Well,
and
yeah.
he does that all the time.
Well, right now I'm
But Spielberg does that.
Yes.
Spielberg did it on West Side Story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, how am I going to make this musical number? And he just went,
Well, right now I'm working on. Besides, last year I did. We released the Welcome to Afro Tree. I produced it for.
Let's talk about your films.
Yeah, sure.
sure.
Because
Yeah,
I feel
know.
like we talked about so many
I know, I'm
things. And
sorry.
We're very enthusiastic film people.
yeah, that's great. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just before we talk about the films, because I have a lingering question before we get into your films regarding the notes.
Yes.
I was like thinking about this,
yeah.
but I don't want to interrupt because I like the flow of the conversation.
do your thing, man.
So like the regarding the notes, what difference would you suggest like when you're giving notes to someone that's done a fiction film towards someone that's done a documentary film? You can't go back and like reshoot in
Yeah.
a documentary.
Right.
You know, sometimes you do have the resource or the person that you're documenting is still alive. But what if like there's some things that are impossible?
You answer the documentary, I'll answer
Yeah.
the fiction.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Not to pigeonhole
Like I know
you.
nothing about doc.
He
fiction.
he knows fiction, but I'm just gonna say your purview is
No,
better.
right. I mean,
you have more of a.
Which, and I won't go too far down this rabbit hole. I got to HBO back in '95. He got me the interview. I met with Sheila Nevins back when. She says, "Well, why should I hire you? You're the horror film guy," because she knew that from Jason I'd worked on these
horror films.
Wait.
trauma pictures.
I'm gonna give a background on. So she gave him a stack.
Well,
of-
no, this is part of it.
Oh, this is part of it. Okay.
So she says, "Why should I hire you? You're the horror film guy." And I worked with trauma pictures on Toxic Avenger. Worked on
Toxic Avenger?
Yeah,
Oh,
Toxic Avenger Part 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So all these things, right?
Yeah.
And trying to get a job and being savvy enough and have a little hustler, picking up and thinking, stories and characters, Sheila. I know stories and characters. That's why Jason and I studied stories and characters at Rochester. I can help you find stories and characters. What I didn't know yet, though, is that she was dominant in verite and observational. That was her main, loved regular people going through things, right? Which was perfect for me. Anyway, she says, okay, great. Sorry, Carlos. Watch these. Gave me these things called VHS tapes.
A stack of tapes of all of the
seven
HBO documentary
docs.
library.
Here, take these. Okay. Oh, no, I'll have them sent to you. I live in the projects. You're not sending a messenger to, but I didn't say that. Put them in my backpack, went home that night.
Watched all.
My
of them.
mother, I was back with my mother after a something relationship, went back at home. I worked in daytime, she worked at night. I spent the night, as I always did,
Watching
and some
the entire
cookies,
stack.
chocolate cookies, and a quart of milk, watched all 7 hours,
Wrote
called her
notes.
Friday morning.
Yeah.
I found my notes the other day from 1995, said, Sheila, blah, 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 blah. She says, great, start Monday. I get the
and
job.
and she hired him because he
Because of
watched
that.
them all in one night.
So,
Which is
flash forward.
which is a lesson to anybody out there.
Right.
That's what you need to do. Like
Pick
if
up-
somebody gives you a
right.
script, read it that day.
Also, not only that, but it's not about what you want. is about what they want with any job, but definitely in our business. It's like, what can you give me? And so
And you have to be eager, and you have to be hungry.
So what happened is that even though I was an executive assistant for a while, what I ended up doing is like, oh, watch these films. So I started then analyzing all my film schools, my film studies stuff came in. And what I picked up on is, because most of our stuff is verite and basically real life narratives, which fits with me being a fiction guy anyway, was watching this verite. And what I would do when I gave notes or when I respond to filmmakers is sometimes I would apply, no offense being sort of biased, like, hey, it's like a fiction film. Where's the beginning, middle, end? Where are the characters? Where's the depth?
You're still telling a story.
Right. Ultimately, it's still telling a story. Even a news program is telling a story. If you can't grab them with that. So I would say, like, get more of this, get more. Of course, if it's already done, I say, well, is there a possibility of recutting this? Is it possibly, you were talking about length in terms of short, the Academy says it's anywhere up to 40 minutes. But maybe this film isn't a 40-minute film. Again, it's about discerning what gives the best impact in the story. Maybe it's only needs to be 15 minutes long. I know you shot 300 hours, especially now with the digital cameras and stuff, but maybe there's only a friend of mine, one of our great editors, Jeff Bartz, HBO, he had said one time, it's a feature if there's a real beginning, middle, end. It's a short if it's just none of that. And
Just a taste.
It's a taste. Just get the point across, get out,
And by the way, Greg found a bunch of Academy Award winning documentaries that some of which HBO picked up and some of which they did not pick up. And he had recommended them. This is a documentary.
Well, last time I was out here for the Oscars was 10 years ago, and we had a film that was nominated, Prison Terminal, wonderful film, great filmmakers. And I'm looking at the ticker on the red carpet, and it also had films we didn't pick up. And, but you know what? That said, again, through the notes, you don't, was it Goldwyn, whoever said it, nobody knows nothing, right? I can spout all this crap and stuff, and I can be very educated about, expressing my feelings about, articulate about story and character, blah, blah. But basically it's just like and dislike. We think it's something else, but it's not. And that's how I judge how I should give notes. Like even now when I'm reviewing for a film festival in these nearly 1,000 films, I'm deciding not only what I think works for the festival, it's also what do I like? Sorry, go ahead. The
one thing I was going to say about
narrative.
I was going to say one more thing about documentary, which is there is another adage about documentaries, which is if you make the movie that you go in thinking that you're going to make, you've made a mistake. You have to discover the story. With documentaries, it's a discovery. And what's the one about the capturing the Freedmans?
Yeah,
he started out doing circus. Was it circus clowns? Party clowns, and then he discovered a family.
Oh, you want to know something? My family's going through this.
Exactly.
Look,
and they shift, and you have to be, and for that, so it's almost like improv is like you have to follow what the story is.
Well, maybe this is a segue to you.
You can't impose the story.
Maybe it's a segue to him and fiction. No, in the sense that
you're in fiction. I was just saying.
I know. It's throwing out as wide a net, and I'll do this in terms of setting up, because maybe folks out there are watching this and setting up for something. Throw out as wide a net as possible to capture as much within the triangle means. Then you can come back, because mostly it's about editing at a certain point. But even fiction is about capturing a story, right? You capture, what resources can I have? Reflect on 1993 Robert Rodriguez. Oh, I have a turtle. I have a town. Same with when it comes to fiction and both nonfiction. What can I do? Can I go to Darfur or someone and tell a story? No. Maybe there's a story down the street that is a personal story that has character that needs something down here in downtown LA. Same thing when it comes to fiction.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking it's like sometimes you write around a location and then you figure out what's the story here? What's an interesting story here? But then don't shoot what you just wrote. Send your script out to friends. Always send it out. But friends that you trust or professionals that you trust. I obviously in my journey and travels, I've met a bunch of filmmakers. Recently, I met these two really very talented filmmakers. They've trust me enough to give them the script, and I give them notes. The idea is, I don't filter my notes, but I don't say this sucks because that's not a helpful note. I say, what are you trying to do here? I always ask questions. It's important to ask, what is your intention? and your intention is, yes, I have a location and I want to film here. Great, that's a good intention. That's not an intention for the film. What's the intention with the script? Like, what are you trying to say? I try to say things with both of my films, and I had to clarify what I'm trying to say. The first film, believe it or not, is about love and how we can get in the way. We get in our own way when it comes to love.
This is the hit, right?
The hit.
Yeah.
She's a hit woman. She had a terrible relationship, so she closed herself off. She falls in love with her target. I mean, that's a hacky thing. But me, I'm taking it on the point of like, okay, how is she going to make this work when we know that she's a killer? And she's set up a situation where she's in her own way. And at the end, she's, to use a very pretentious expression, she's hoisted by her own petard, you know. But to me, and that's funny, because I think that's funny. I always think movies where people die at the end are funny. It's like life. But the idea is, it's like, but I sent that script out. I had people look at it. I had people give me notes. It started out entirely differently. I also knew, like, I had written this very elaborate script. What I did is a script competition, a 48-hour script competition, and I was like, and I took that story and made it into something else. Are we running? Okay.
Oh, so he's
So
telling-
just give me a heads up on the time.
Oh, shit. Okay. But anyway, the point of the matter is, you give notes, you get notes back, and you take the notes, and not take them, and you don't have to take them literally, but you take them in, you internalize them, and figure out, okay, what is the story, and how does each scene do that story? Fine, you write a script, now you're ready to shoot. You get people behind you, you hire your DP. I believe, listen, low-budget filmmaking, I still believe everyone who's working on the set gets paid. It's just the way I feel. And I'm also an adult, and I'm like, that's what I have to do. Mm-hmm. I'd love to call in favors, but at the same time, I want people to be happy. You know, I want people behind me. So you get on set, and your actors give you something, and whatever it is, and you have to be flexible enough to know what works and what doesn't work, and whether it's in your vision or whether they're giving you something good, and it's not just your vision, and now the film is something beyond you. And then again, you go back, and then you go into the editing room, and you're like, what isn't working? And you have to be ruthless, and you have to separate your ego as a writer and understand, okay, that's not working, or this is dull. Like, I thought it was funny, it's not playing funny, or whatever it is, it's not working, cut it out, or I have to go reshoot because I don't have anything to cut to. And you do that. And for me, again, when filmmakers come to me, I told this one filmmaker, I read his script, I said, you're holding something back, you're censoring yourself. You have to write the shittiest first draft ever, and the vomit draft. Throw everything you can into it. You can always pull it back. But if you write something that's held back already, you have nowhere to go.
Right.
And it's really important to free yourself,
right,
and be free enough to do that, and take a little bit of this out of that.
Especially in writing.
The ego will move, again, the project forward. You want to make this movie. You're going to make the movie. But how are you going to make it to the best movie of your ability? Yeah. And for fiction, it's tough. But it's also knowing, oh, this character is superfluous. I can cut this character. I wrote in this film, I wrote long speeches because I knew I was going to cut. I wanted the actors to be able to launch off into an emotional space,
right,
where I needed them to go. But I knew that I was going to pull back. And my one actress was like, oh, these speeches are really long. She loved them, but it's like, it's a lot for her. And I said, don't worry, we'll cut from here, we'll go from here, because I knew how I was going to cut.
That's like flexible. I feel like I write the same way. Like I write like these long monologues or dialogues, but it's just like to get a sense of what's going to happen,
exactly,
and how I can change these words into images instead of, or like just like facial.
That's my next challenge, is to write something with a lot less dialogue. But this was a different story. Again, it was actors, but you want to do a simple, and also auditorially, audiences can only really process one thought per sentence. I told this kid that he had like 3 or 4 sentences. I'm like, no. One thought per sentence, so that there's a little more back and forth. And it reads better for anybody reading it, and as an actor, it's much easier to think. You earn a speech by the end of the film. That's when you always earn a speech. But like in the middle, or even in the middle, but like start off slow so that people can process. And again, it's like, allow yourself the vomit draft.
Yeah.
Like, make it long. You know it's going to be a 10-minute film, write a 30-page script.
Especially at that stage, because when you're with paper and you're alone or brainstorming with friends, there's almost nothing to lose.
You have a freedom.
Be verbose. Just go for it. Then we'll dial back later. Because obviously once you're on a set, once you're or fiction or nonfiction, that's now we're in concrete zones. Time is time, light is light, personal time is personal time. Boom. The other thing too, and we talked about this earlier, and this could be towards a wrap up because I know you're short on time, is that I said earlier, nothing new under the sun, right? I don't forget who said that shit.
Yeah, no.
Anyway, some old man. Anyway, the thing is, that said,
You can.
who gives a shit? Because imagine this. I used to open up for the IFP Film Week, which is a thing in New York City. Now it's called the Gotham Week. And I would do the orientation. I tell the filmmakers, no offense, I'm going to tell you right now. Imagine that no one gives a shit about anything you're working on. I know you've been working hard on it. You've been brainstorming a lot, fiction, nonfiction. No one gives a shit. I feel like a Dov S.S. Simmons right here. Nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit. But that said, make them give a shit.
And going off of that, which is
Sorry, Carl, I probably yelled at
No. Going off.
all good?
Going off of that, which is, look, there's nothing new under the sun, but nobody's going to tell the story the same way.
You are.
The way you are.
Right.
And
Unique points of view, even if it's a similar story or like
Action
something
adventure,
that's
it doesn't matter.
And if you take a look at my two films, and the nicest compliment I ever got is I sent it to somebody I met at a screening. I sent him my two films, and didn't hear back. Then I heard back. He wrote, "You have a distinct comic voice." I'm like, I put myself in there, and that's really important to me. And again, I could give the same script to Greg, and he'll write a different movie. And I'm like, that's what makes it beautiful, is that it's coming from your individual self. It doesn't make a difference that the story is like a female hit woman. How many times have we seen that before?
Look, I mean, I think I was mentioning before, I love I think I was watching the hit, or read the hit, and I said, oh, Grosse Point Blank. But it's not Grosse Point Blank. It's his thing.
It's mine.
And the thing is, it doesn't matter because it's going to be a long road ahead. Do what the fuck you want to do because it feels good. Otherwise, you're not going to get anything done.
And the same thing with the Dinosaur 4, and it's great to watch this.
Jurassic. No, I met Gareth the other way. He's going to
let's
make
get to
Jurassic
talking
World.
about your projects, your current
Right.
projects.
Yeah.
So you have Dinosaur 4, and also you have the
So
the-
I'm adapting
the-
a novel by Jeff Jones called The Dinosaur 4. Way back in 2016, we did a road trip. My son was then 12 years old. He loved dinosaur film. We showed him Jurassic Park when he was like 3. Loved seeing the dinosaurs eat people. But we listened to this audiobook on Audible, and he said, that's your movie, Dad. And my wife and I have been in the movie business forever. And I said, yeah. But he kept saying it. So I looked it up. I found the author on Facebook. I barely use Facebook. But I found him. I reached out to him. The book had come out 2 years earlier when The Martian came out. Martian hit. Jeff's didn't. But we eventually sold like 50,000 copies or something. I talked to him during a break from a film festival. I pitched him an idea. This is aliens with dinosaurs. This is the original Jurassic Park, the book. It's violent. It's nasty. I got a lawyer.
It's funny, too.
Fernando, are you out there? Fernando Ramirez. I hired him. He also works with documentary filmmakers. I got an LLC.
Is this a Colombian film? Fernando Ramirez?
He's, I think, Puerto Rican.
Okay.
But
So I know Fernando Ramirez from Colombia.
I had met him at a film conference. I had to find a lawyer, hired him, formed the LLC. We licensed the book from, I licensed the book from, optioned the book from Jeff. And who's going to write it? Well, I'm going to have to write it. Not because I'm an ego, but because resources. I don't have anybody to write. No, unfortunately. Look, Jason's working on other stuff. My other friend Pat's working on other stuff. I have Writers Guild friends, whatever. Take the 300-some page book, dial it down.
He did a great
step by step.
He did a great job.
And to your point, open to notes. Here, tear it apart. Here, tear it apart.
I made a few suggestions.
Embellished in the beginning.
Pat made some
My friend
suggestions.
Pat Lomax made suggestions, both screenwriters. Then it's presented at Netflix. People have been turning down, oh, it's a dinosaur film. You'll never be able to make the special effects, blah, blah, blah. Oh, by the way, I've got a VFX artist living with me.
Yeah.
Goes from a 12-year-old boy who loves Minecraft and stuff to a 21-year-old man who can make stuff in Blender and ZBrush and all this stuff.
And the scientific mind, he's learned, so he's self-taught himself.
My God.
His own
It's
programs.
Animatics we do in iClone. We use DAZ 3D Studio and so on. And in the other film, so that working hard on. And if we need to, don't have $50 million, $200,000, I'm making that film. It's getting done. And maybe we'll get done before Jurassic Park World 4 comes out. And then the other thing is my friend Chase, who did Welcome to Afro Tree, which we got money
Which you
from.
produced.
Yeah, I produced that. I'd been his mentor back at HBO. when he was in high school, and he'd been working on films all along, and he wanted to get to a point where he would make a feature. So he had an idea for a feature, but he had an idea for a short.
I saw a short film, and I feel like it could be like it felt like a pilot for a series.
Yeah, it's the thing is, he said, I have this idea where it could be a series, or it's like Stepford Wives meet the Drop Squad. So it's about wokeness gone too far.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, great, cool, in the realm of Get Out.
Yeah.
And I
felt that vibe.
I had some money, he had some money, but we needed more money, so we reached out to, I pitched to Warner Brothers Discovery, and we got a grant. It was part of a program that doesn't exist anymore, Warner 150. And got that money, like 25 grand. I put in some money, he put in some money. We shot for like 4 days. Great cast and crew. Spike and Mike, Urban Mouse, shout out,
And
man.
really good production.
And
value.
really production, I mean, if we had 20 more days,
you would have the feature. Yeah.
you know, because I already made I produced a feature for my classmate from the new school, Tom Benty, this film called At the Jersey Shore, which is on Amazon Prime. We did it for 60 grand. You know, so I knew how to do this stuff. And again, it's about the passion. Had there not been films before like this, had there not been a Get Out and so on, had there not been dinosaur films before, I don't give a shit in the end. Because I didn't make that film. I didn't make Jurassic Park. I want to make my stuff.
Yeah.
And if you're not buying
It's your
it
unique point of view.
Yeah, I have a friend producer out here. She said, oh, are you still thinking about directing? And kind of half mocking. I said, no offense. Unless you're coming forth with somebody who has $1 million to pay me to do this, unless Netflix is picking it up, unless this producer guy from the UK he said, oh, if my partner, they're looking for partners. We're going to do a film for $3 million. You have to come through with half. I said, no offense. Appreciate. If I had $1.5 million, this would be done already.
Yeah.
You know. So go ahead.
No, and this is the thing is because I think you're going to do that film, and I actually really want you to shove it in everybody's face because
that's what Magnus says every day. Sorry, go ahead.
No, because I'm looking at the dinosaurs. He's shown me the animatics, and he's been very passionate about this project for years. And it's hard to, but that's what the film industry is sometimes it's just heartbreak, but it's also about plowing through and forging ahead. And believing enough in yourself.
It makes you strong.
It makes you strong.
It's that whole look. It's like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It's like I'm gonna get up, do it. You know, just keep going.
And you have your handful of friends who are there to cheer you on.
Right.
You know.
And you take what you can get. Because look, love him like a brother. And I was like, well, can't you join? Can't you do this? You know what? What can you give me? And that's one thing I've always learned through this, and from days as a kid on up, is maximizing. You know, I'm here at this job. Sheila gave me this job. I'm here. This is not exactly what I'm going to do.
He made so much out of it.
Let me figure out what can I do. What do I have access? Put aside the ego. Stop being scared. Stop being tired. Get up and do what I can with what I can now. I know cry for a minute, cry for a day, bitch about it, yell at everybody, you know, and then get up your ass and do the shit. Oh, I have a friend, Joe, who's an artist, and great artist and stuff. If he can't do some stuff for me, and I'm not as talented as he is as an illustrator,
illustrator, yeah.
Or my brother-in-law, also they're from the same school. Let me learn. People ask, why do you keep doing all your animation and your own art and so on? Because it's what I have resources to. Why are you shooting? Because, first of all, I have a big head, and I can wear a lot of hats. I'm going to do this shit because I need to, and I'm going to use what I can when I can and keep moving forward. Otherwise, it doesn't happen.
Right.
And I'm going to segue into my thing, which was, look, there was a time when I'm like waiting to get cast. I'm waiting to get a crew. I'm waiting to figure out like when we can get into production. Well, what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to production design the thing. I created the book, that book that I appear on as a cameo. It's a book, and it's a reference to my first film. It's called Go Take a Jump in Lake U. And it's like, you take your time and you take your resources, and when you feel like you're not working on it, then you work on another aspect of it, and you move forward, and you can be creative and funny and smart in that process. Yeah. So I had the greatest time making this book, Go Take a Jump in Lake U, and I had many different versions of it. I can lose myself in Adobe Photoshop. I'm not proficient in it by any stretch of the imagination, but I would spend, like, days would go by, and I'm like, oh, like that day passed by, but I've been having so much fun doing this because I know that I'm going towards the completion of this project.
And there's a YouTube video for every fucking thing out there now. Seriously, if you want something,
There's tutorials everywhere. Yeah.
just gotta look it up. Question to ask you, look it up.
And a friend of mine said, "Look, you can learn Premiere in a week.
Yeah.
Like there's a great tutorial. He's going to send it
Final
to me."
Cut Pro.
Exactly.
But I know you're
So, what project is Jason working on right
Yes.
now? I saw something that you were working on an animation.
Well, I was working on a friend's animated show for Tubi called Breaking Bear.
It's like Breaking Bad, but with the bear.
It's kind of like that. It's a weird situation. So it was, and it's been sporadic. I'm also working on my next short because for me, I'm like, this is my film school. I'm going to make a couple of shorts.
and brainstorming on some features.
Well, I have two shorts in me. One is a standalone short, and then the next one is probably a standalone, but it's for a feature script that I've written. So that's kind of where I'm at. And again, I've set a goal for myself for the next film. I want the camera to move more. I will have 5 actors in it. I'm also shooting for a celebrity. I will not name the celebrity. It's not really a celebrity. Well, it's a celebrity in the
Marketable enough.
in the indie world, but a cool celebrity, someone with street cred. I hope to hell that I can get that person. But it's a funny idea, and people have like even just given me feedback off the pitch, which is like, oh, that's funny. And when you hear a pitch, when somebody hears a pitch, and they like it, it's like, oh, I'm in the right direction. You know what I mean? And again, I feel like I do niche stuff, but I was surprised. I just came back from a festival. I had some screenings. Like, I got a small award. The real award to me was the audience applauding, and then people coming up to me afterwards saying, I love this movie. Like,
That's the best part when you
That's the
connect.
best-
When you finally connect
right.
with the audience.
Yeah, and it's so bizarre. I wrote a song for this film, and I came up with it halfway through editing. I'm like, wow, wouldn't it be funny if I had a song that literally told you everything that just happened and was kind of a sticking your
Without
tongue
giving
out at
away,
the
yes.
audience, exactly. And so I wrote this song, and I was like, and I told my composer, and he's like, oh, that's a really funny idea. And we came up with it, and it was so much fun. And my composer got this Russian singer in New York to sing it, and they produced it really well. And I'm like, this couldn't be better. And again, that's a segment of the film, and that's the part of being creative. Because I also feel like after a comedy, like the credits, you want people to stick around for the credits. It's only 40 seconds of credits, and they go by fast. But you want it to be funny, like that's important to me. And even on the first film, I'm like, oh, it just ends here, and that's not as funny an ending as I thought it would be. So why don't I do some voiceover? And I had the actors, like I wrote down like 2 pages worth of lines. He said them all, and I picked the one that I thought was the funniest line, and that's the end of the hit. I'm always about giving the audience something. I do have the audience in mind. I think I write niche stuff, but I want universal acceptance.
Yeah.
No, we're writing for and creating for ourselves, but we also want, ultimately it's about sharing with
Connections.
the audience.
It's connections.
It
Connections.
is.
Which is like this. Thank you guys for,
I mean, this has really been.
this has been fantastic.
Thank you guys. I mean, it's too bad we don't have another hour because I love talking about all this and like,
Thanks to my friend
connecting.
Joe for connecting us.
Joe, yeah, thank you, Joe.
Yeah.
We'll have maybe in the future Joseph can join us and we can have like a talk about like comics
you
and
guys
stuff.
rock, man. Seriously, this
No,
is
And
fantastic.
the thing is, once you get on film, though, it's very tough to stop.
Yes, you will never stop us.
It's very passionate. Look,
Never.
I always look at film as
Carlos, you'll never stop us.
film to me is like my temple. And you know,
God, I'm gonna cry.
I pray. No, I pray to it.
I do.
When it disappoints me, I get very angry. but when it succeeds, it's like, I mean, without getting graphic, it's orgasmic. You know.
Yeah.
That's like Schwarzenegger in
Pumping Iron. I'm pumping and I'm coming.
I'm coming.
Did you ever see Pumping Iron documentary?
I'm having
Oh, it's
orgasm.
the one on Netflix or which one?
It's probably on YouTube.
Yeah.
The thing is, I all the time I'm coming when I lift.
When I lift, I'm coming.
All day, I'm coming.
Because he was
It's-
really into bodybuilding.
But
Obviously.
anyway, but this is great.
It's a great line.
It's inspirational. This is such a thrill to have done this, and we're feeding off each other, and I love this. Is the thing. My biggest thing to filmmakers, I'll give it up for fiction and nonfiction. First of all, to your point, if you're gonna make, I'm gonna wrap it up. If you're gonna make a short film, make it self-contained. Even if it's an idea for something, beginning, middle, end, whatever is in that film. Even if it's a concept for a big feature, make it work on its own. Pariah, some other films out there.
Pariah, yeah.
Self-contained, it works on its own. If the film never happens at a big level, you have this. Go for it. Malcolm, you'll cut that out. Chase, I'm sorry. Chase, when he made, Afro Tree, it's a self-contained thing.
Yeah.
Whether or not we got the money to do whatever. Anyway, all that said, do what you can with what you can. Get it out there to your audience. Connect.
And do it with passion.
Do it with passion. Do this kind of thing. Make movies. Tell stories. Film has been my temple, as you said, my passion, my lifesaver, music and film, since I was a little boy. This is keeping me going. And it's all possible, man. It's just how far you get, I don't know. The studios and the networks are mountaintops. I used to tell filmmakers that when I rejected them. Sorry. But there are soapboxes everywhere. This is a soapbox. Your channel is a soapbox. Nerdopolitan is a soapbox. You don't have to get everybody. If you, me, him, there's four of us here. If we like something, there's probably 40,000 other people that like it too.
Right.
Get it out there.
And get inspired. And
Yes.
also be passionate.
Watch,
and
read.
And be open to learning.
Exactly. Every fucking day, be open to learning. I've learned for 30 years. God bless you and Sheila. And look, I'm sorry.
You're
I'm
putting
not,
me in the same category?
Well, no, yes. God, yes. No, I'm not a believer, but I believe in passion, spirit, and such. And I think happenstance
she's a
and the
strong
fact that
person.
I got that job, and even though I wasn't doing documentaries, I learned so much. Another film study school, so much about storytelling and connecting with an audience. And ultimately, it's do it. Be a part of it. Be open to learning from anything you can do.
And recognize your mistakes.
Right.
Learn and recognize.
And don't be beholden to it, because as I said, anxiety makes me. But then I say, if I don't get up now, it's like that scene from Kill Bill.
Yeah.
Toe, wiggle the toe.
Right.
Wiggle the toe.
Wiggle
Get
your little
up,
toe.
Get up.
Yeah.
Or in the Matrix, Trinity, get up, get up. I'm Trinity. You can't see right now, but I'm wearing leather underneath this.
Okay.
You'll know.
You're gonna do the
It's a
time
whole other
freeze.
thing. Yes.
The bullet time.
Well, thank you so much, guys. It's
Oh, thank you guys.
Yes.
And please, just to say bye to everybody, please give us your social media or where people can get in contact with you guys in case, like, hey, I like what you do, or where they can see your projects.
Oh, sure. I'm actually going to be playing at the Pasadena Film Festival in April 4th through the... I don't know when it goes. I think it starts the 4th. I'm also playing at Sunscreen in Florida. I'm playing at the Berkshires at the end of May, which was
Berkshire International Film
Berkshire
Festival.
International Film Festival in Massachusetts. No, in New York.
It's
Massachusetts,
in
Massachusetts.
Great Barrington, Massachusetts.
Great Barrington. It's like right on the border.
Yeah.
Or something. Anyway,
2.5 hours away.
I'm still waiting to hear from some other. I'm still in the film festival circuit, so I will be hopefully playing more in LA.
What's your
too.
Instagram?
My Instagram is at Jason A. White Film or at jawdrop underscore jawdrop films underscore LLC. Those are my two social medias. Everything else is kind of personal.
All right.
I'm no current work right now. Give me a job.
You are working.
Well, not making money, but LinkedIn. I'm still on LinkedIn.
Oh, I'm on LinkedIn,
I have
too.
a creative consulting, Bronx Brain 64, creative consulting. So that's up there.
And he is an indelible resource for anybody who's making documentaries or feature films or short films.
or when you give me money to
especially
make
short
my
films.
film.
Well, that's the thing.
But my email is highbridgedreams@gmail. That's a highbridge dreams, one word, at Gmail. And I'm also, I think, I don't do the social
Instagram?
media, but Instagram,
He's on
when I do pay attention to it, is GJR1075. So
I guess my social media stuff is all about me.
everything's all
But
about
Jaw Drop Films. It's also Jason A. White on LinkedIn, too.
So please look for us, get in touch, and of course through Nerdopolitan.
Nerdopolitan,
And
yeah.
Nerdopolitan, exactly.
That's the idea. We connect, make the world
I mean,
maybe
little bit more
smaller
nerdy.
and a little bit more nerdy, and the ideas of sharing knowledge and fomenting that sharing spirit.
yeah, exactly. No, and it's important because this is an educational program,
Yeah.
too. Even
Yeah.
if we are talking nerds.
Education.
We talk about all types of things, orgasms and films. It ranges all the way
And religion
Everywhere.
and wokeness.
everywhere. It's everywhere.
One of the days, I'm going to get educated and organized. It's
All
a
right.
movie reference. Look it up.
Well, thank you, Greg.
All
Thank you,
right.
Jason.
Thank you.
Thank
Hope you come
my
back
friend.
soon.
All right.
Everybody in Nerdopolitan, please subscribe, follow our guests, and stay in touch.
Yes. Peace.
Peace.
Bye.